So I started Hyrox a year ago when it first came to the UK, and I've run like a personal training sort of studio where I live, literally on my property. So I've got this little unit, and I work out of there, and then I do classes, kind of local classes, mostly hit. Sort of started off doing hit stuff, and then we started bringing some weights in, and got a little team of maybe 20 of us, I reckon. And it was
20
never
members.
yeah, sort of 20 between like PT and people coming to the classes. It's about a little group of about 20 of us, I'd say. And it was never really like CrossFit or, like legs, bums and tums. We just sort of, we thought we had our own little thing going until someone sent me a link for Hyrox, and I thought, oh, this looks good. It's like what we do, a bit of run. We all do a bit of running, bit of rowing. It's like cardio, nothing too technical. So I got everyone to sign up, and we did our first one in London, and absolutely loved it. And as soon as I did it, I said to them, "This is going to be massive. People are gonna once this gets going, people are gonna love Hyrox. We need to." Get in. Oh, sorry, my phone's going off. Just trying to silence it. Yeah, so I sort of said we need to get in it and do some like Hyrox training, because I'd never heard of it before. And even after we did it, there was not really anywhere to sort of train. So we set up our own little training camp doing Hyrox stuff. And then I started hearing about affiliations, because literally a year ago, no one was doing it. And then I think the nearest one to me was kind of, I don't know, 20 odd miles away. And I knew that we knew what we were doing. I knew that we could run a Hyrox facility because there was, all of us did it. We all loved it, and we were all quite good at it. And it's something literally that we've been doing for years, but never knew it was a thing. Do you know what I mean? And then we kind of found our people. It was amazing. So then I got in touch with a guy near me who owns a bit of land, saying that I was looking for a unit. I wanted to build a unit specifically for Hyrox training. That kind of gave me the sort of push really to set up my own place. So that's been about a year in the making. I think I contacted him end of last year, about October, November. So finally we've got our unit, which opens on the 1st of October. So I spoke to Frank at Hyrox about the affiliation. He sent me over all the details, what I needed to do, and yeah, just did it. I mean, I think ultimately we were going to do Hyrox training anyway, because it's kind of what we do. We love the ergs, we love the running, we love a sled, wall balls, and being Hyrox affiliated just meant that we could do it officially, if you like, and kind of get more people coming in. And I have people coming from Northampton, which is like an hour's drive away. It comes down on a Saturday to train, because there's not really a lot round here. And I knew that if we were affiliated, that would then sort of attract more people to come and join in.
Right, cool. So just to go back, so you previously, like, you were training people just on your land. It was outside, like basically where you live, right? And then, and so you've now moved into an indoor unit, similar style of training, but it's like indoors, and it's like just a more professional setup, is it now?
Yeah, so now it's still small group training. It's not an open gym. So the way it works is everyone has access to an app, and they book the sessions through the app, and everything is run like there are specific sessions every day. You can't just turn up and train. And the way I do it is I have basically, we run off a 12-week cycle. So we'll do a 12-week plan, have 2 weeks kind of deload, and then go again. And then the session, so the way I sell it, I've got quite a few members actually recently who are interested in coming and doing the training, and not specifically to do a Hyrox event, but because Hyrox is so good for everyone, the training transfers to everything. Do you know what I mean? So for example, our training plan will start with a big endurance base, like a normal 12-week plan. Then we'll have a hypertrophy stage, and then we'll have a speed and power at the end. And you can kind of it sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Like it transfers to everything. So you don't need to be Hyrox race in order to train for Hyrox. Things like the sled, the farmer carriers. What I love is that you can shift some really heavy weight without compromising form or risk of injury. Like my mum could literally do it. She could push a sled, but she couldn't squat 40 kilos because she'd probably get injured. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For everyone that comes to the Hyrox classes doesn't need to have experience. They don't need to have technical training in order to do it, like say with CrossFit.
So how many classes are you doing a day?
There are 6 sessions a day they can book on.
Okay. And are you running all those personally?
All of them.
Wow. Okay. All right. Nice. So tell me a bit about like you said you spoke to Frank at Hyrox about like the affiliation process. Was it more involved than that? Like what was involved?
No, it's so simple. All they want is, an address. That's it. Just like it's a really simple process. You don't have, there's no kind of requirement as far as I'm aware. So they don't ask, what equipment I've got, what weight kettlebells I've got, if I've got ski ergs. It was just a case of you pay them some money and then they send you some banners. Really,
all right.
Do it. Yeah,
so
they don't.
What are you paying? Can I ask?
I think it works out. Oh, I don't want to get this wrong. I want to say about 1,100 quid a year. I think it's
that sounds about right. I think that sounds about right.
Plus that.
All right. But before that, like, so what do you feel you're getting out of that? You wouldn't have just paid 1,100 quid for some banners, right? Unless they're really good.
Well, for me, the reason I wanted to do it is so that I could advertise as a Hyrox facility, because I know that there aren't any, and I know that it's going to be big. I know that there's a gym. Before I did this, I was renting a gym 20 minutes down the road to do our training. Like my little group would go there on a Sunday and do like sims and stuff. And people from that gym are messaging me because they've heard about what we're doing and they want to get in. Do you know what I mean? I know that it's gaining traction, and every time I'm training, someone asks me about Hyrox now, and I just think if I don't do it, someone else is going to do it, and then it's, I've lost that opportunity. So for me, it's more really about being able to say, I'm a Hyrox gym, come and train here, because there's nothing else for them to do. In terms of what I get back, so there's you get discounts on race entries. I get, I want to say like 3 entries into races. I get a relay team. In terms of like race entry, it's pretty good, because I suppose it's a bit like with My Zone. You know how My Zone gyms work? You buy the belts and then you sell them to the members. I suppose you could potentially sell race places to people. I don't know.
Well, you get a certain number of free race entries there that you can give to members, and then reduced ones over and above that, or something like that.
Yeah, and then you get discount codes on other races. So it works. So if someone's a member of my gym, they'll get a discount on a race entry. So that's another reason for them to come and join. Okay. And workouts. So you get sent the workouts. Like the training plans. They send you the training plans. I prefer to write my own, but if that would probably be quite beneficial to someone else. It's all done for you. You haven't even got to write the plan out. The plans are there, so you can kind of recruit people to do a Hyrox 12-week plan and give them the training plans that you get from Hyrox, and then race it.
Okay, cool. So that's like, what is that, like a daily workout or something like that?
Like there's how it is on the website where you've got a plan, you've got a weekly plan, to follow, and then there's like a workout of the week every Wednesday. There's also competitions that you can do in-house that only Hyrox affiliated gyms can do, which I don't know, there'll be like sort of Hyrox based workouts. It might be like a 2K ski, or for time, and then people in Hyrox affiliate gyms can sort of challenge each other.
Okay.
So that would probably work. I don't use them though, to be fair. I don't use their training plans. I'd rather do my own. But if I wasn't a Hyrox affiliated gym, in theory I can advertise as doing Hyrox.
It's like CrossFit, right? It's the use of the name, and then but that is like at the same time, like that's attracting members.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's, for me, is the value, is that it's going to attract people. Are going to start Hyrox, they're going to look at where they can go, and then they're going to come to me for training, and that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah, and like my personal perspective is that like like you're right to get in early as well. Like there's a lot of people right now that are just like, I've got no idea how to train for this, and then we'll look for a Hyrox gym, and in 2 years, like they'll be commonplace,
Yeah, and there's people that are travelling an hour to come down on a Saturday to do training because there's nowhere else for them to go. I mean, CrossFit gyms, there's about 6 within a 10-mile radius of me now, and you can take your pick, can't you? Whereas at the moment, I've got people from Northampton, people coming up from London to come because it's a Hyrox gym, and I think that's the value. I think that's what, for me, that's what I wanted to get out of it.
Okay. Cool. And I've seen that they train the trainers as well, right? Do you get involved in that at all?
Yeah. So this actually, I forgot about that. That's something I'm really excited about. So you can do the training, the Hyrox coaching, which what I love about that is that I get 2 places free per year, which means that I can have other people. So there's a couple of guys on my team who have done their fitness instructing course maybe a few years ago, but don't work in gyms, that have done Hyrox, quite good at it, and they can then get on them courses and then come and do work for me at the gym, which I love. I love that. I can't wait for that.
So do you know much about what them courses are? Like, is it you go somewhere for a day, right, and get coached? Is it by the master trainers that you get?
Yeah, I did email them about this, but they never got back to me about what the prerequisite was for signing up, because I know like quite a few people on my team would love to do it, and I've got 2 places a year to fill. So I don't know. I don't know if you need what qualification you need to have. No one got back to me about that.
Okay. But in terms of what it actually is, like once you're there, is it's like a 1-day thing, is it? As
far as I know, it's a 1-day thing, but they haven't got anything booked in the calendar. So I think the course to do that, what he said to me, was about 500 quid plus VAT. So in that £1,000 fee, you get 2 of them.
Okay.
No brainer, really. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. They didn't give me a lot of information on it, and they hadn't had anything booked in, just that when they're booked, the affiliates will get the email sent out. Last year, kind of end of the year, so I was kind of hoping it would be about now, but no, I've not heard anything.
All right. Where is your gym? Whereabouts in you?
It's in Henlow, in Bedford.
Okay.
Bedfordshire.
And are you in there now? You're in your unit now? I know it's reasonably new.
No, the 3rd of October it opens.
Okay. All right. Exciting times.
Yeah. I've got a house full of ski ergs and rows and kettlebell bags.
So what can we talk about some of the finances of running a gym, like over and above the Hyrox costs?
Yeah.
So like a skier ain't cheap, right? So
no, you know what the most expensive thing is the flooring of a gym. Is
really?
Yeah, that's the biggest expense, is putting the floor down. I think it costs about $4,000 or something to put the flooring down in there. It's just rubber matting. Yeah, the skier. I mean, the ergs, the Concept 2 stuff's not cheap. So I've got 2 ski ergs, 2 rowers, bike erg. the assault treadmill. Got 2 treadmills. I think the 2 treadmills were about £8,000. I probably invested about 30 grand over the last couple of years, because it's been going, because we've been kind of planning it for a year, so we've been doing bits as we go. And then a year before that was when I started investing in equipment. I reckon all in all it's probably going to cost about 30 grand to get open, and that is really, when I say no equipment, it's not, it hasn't got leg press, it hasn't got, do you know what I mean? It's a free weights gym, so we've got squat racks and then all the ergs, basically, two of each erg, row, ski, bike, treadmills, assault bike, kettlebells. I had to get the 32 kilo kettlebells. So obviously I wanted the weights to be able to do all the Hyrox simulations up to men's pro, which is the 32 kilos, and I think they were about 220 pound for a set, just for the set of kettlebell, just for that one set of kettlebells. It's not cheap.
No, it adds up. It adds up. Remember, just in lockdown when I tried to buy a few weights, I was like, Jesus.
I know. No, and that's the time to sell it all, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then things like, so my members get access to an app, because everything's bookable through the app, and depending on what you want out of the app. So you can get some that are kind of £20 a month if you just want a booking system, and then they go up to about probably £180-200 a month if you want one that does that has your logo on, that you can talk to all the members. That varies massively, but again, I think it's something that you need to have. I probably spoke to about five or six different companies, like Zoom meetings with them over the summer about which app to choose. And it's kind of, I don't know, just get rid of that. You've got to have something that does everything. It's hard. That I found that quite difficult. It was like choosing a name for a child, trying to pick an app, because it's got to stay, hasn't it? You don't want to chop and change.
Yeah.
So I found that probably one of the most hardest bits about it, was choosing which app, whether to go, for a cheap one and just get the booking, or go all out and everything's involved. And then I was
what did you settle on, in case anyone's looking?
So the one we settled was it was through Wadboard, it's called, and I think it's like £120 a month plus that. That kind of covers everything. You can record I'll tell you what I liked about that is everyone can record everything on their app, so it's not just a booking system, and it gives you, I love data, I'm like you, and it gives you charts of your progress and how you're doing on each workout or lift or whatever it is. It records it all and gives you a progress chart, and that sold it for me. Like on Strava when you do a good run.
Yeah. Well, so all the individual members can effectively do that, can they, in the app?
And they'll all, and they can see their progress. But to be fair, when I spoke to a couple of people about it, they weren't interested at all. Some people just aren't, are they? Some people
yeah.
They're like, who would want to know all that? I was like, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Then I spoke to a guy from My Zone a couple of days ago about becoming a My Zone gym. And again, I think the cost of that's about £120 a month plus that. If you want to become a My Zone gym, which I don't know yet. I haven't fully decided on that.
What would the benefit of that be? I mean, I can see that people will be looking for a Hyrox gym, but would they be looking for a My Zone gym, do you think?
To be honest, I'm quite new to My Zone. I started My Zone when I started Hyrox, really, because everyone was using it, and I quite like my Zone. I like that it gives you like effort score and not how far you run. With my Garmin, I get data overload and it stresses me out, because if I haven't run fast enough, then it's all rubbish. Whereas with the My Zone, it gives you effort, and that can be different, can't it, on each day? So I do like a My Zone, but then I sort of think, well, I've got that data. Why do I need a gym to put that on the wall because that's essentially what you get, is kind of a screen with every effort, which is good fun. And I can see how that kind of push people, you know, to work a bit harder. But I don't know if it's worth £120 a month plus that, to be honest. I mean, it's not. I guess if you've got a massive gym and you've got, I don't know, 100 people coming in a day, then maybe. But it's not going to be like that where I am. So I'm not sold on the My Zone gym yet. I like a My workout, but in terms of, because then I think the cost of the hardware was £750, but I think if you're a Hyrox affiliated gym, you get that free, so that's good.
Okay, so that's another benefit, right? The Hyrox affiliation, potentially.
Yeah.
So just if someone's watching and doesn't really even know what My Zone is and stuff like that, essentially it's like heart rate monitor, and then I think what you're saying is like all the members wear it, they get hooked up, and then their heart rates and effort levels or whatever are essentially on the screen in front of everyone. And you can see where everyone's at and if someone's slacking off and so on.
Yeah. Well, that's the idea. So it could be that my heart rate on one day is different to, say, you know, if you're tired or you haven't slept, you're not well, your heart rate's a bit higher. It measures your effort each workout rather than your time on each workout. So you could do a 5K in 22 minutes one day and not put as much effort in as a 5K where you were running and it took you 25 minutes, but you were working harder. And that's what I like about the My Zone, is how much effort you're putting in at the moment. But I do think there's a little bit of, what's the word? So like, I know a lot of people who train in My Zone, and they can train in their red zone for an hour and a half, whereas I can't get in the red zone for more than about 25 seconds. So I think there's a little bit of, it's kind of, you've got to compare it to your own workout in a way. So sometimes having that comparison to everybody else can be a little bit detrimental. If you're not in the red and someone else is, doesn't necessarily mean you're not working as hard as them.
No, I must admit, I've seen that. I've not looked that closely at My Zone, but I've seen a lot of people on Instagram sharing like they're in the red for the whole of the race. And I'm just like, I can't be in the red for that long. Like,
that's what to compare. So so I know if I get in the red, I know I'm blowing, whereas my friends get in the red just doing deadlifts. I think sometimes you've got to be careful, haven't you, when you're, because as soon as you put that screen up, everyone's comparing themselves to each other. And I think I like that it's just based on effort, not speed. So if we were all doing a spin class, you'd see who's working hard and who's not without knowing how fast anyone's going. You don't know how much distance they've covered, rather than it be judged on speed and distance. I like that it's, you know, it's effort level, it monitors your effort level. But again, I always think you've got to be a little bit careful when you're comparing other people's data. And I think it's kind of, there's a little bit of dangerous territory there, I think sometimes. Be a bit demotivating, can't it, if someone's, and I can hear my clients now saying, oh, I worked really hard and I didn't get in the red. And then you have to, you know, what's the point? You know what I mean? It's difficult, isn't it? People get, well, I don't get in the red. That's why I'm getting upset. I'm working hard.
I'm working hard, I promise. All right. So if we go away from My Zone, but get back to the finances, like, so I guess there's some rental costs as well of the unit.
Yeah, so rent of the unit. The one that I'm going into works out, I don't know, because it's paid, it's different each month. I would say on average about £1,100 a month. And then there's insurance. I'm trying to think the other costs.
What sort of size is your gym, like square footage?
It is, hang on, I know this, 6 meters wide by 14 meters long.
Okay.
Because we've got a 10-meter sled track and then about 3 meters of beanbags.
All right, so there's the costs add up, right? There's quite a lot of costs involved there.
Yeah, insurance. You've got music license if you want to play music. The good thing about where I am is because this is a temporary unit, so where I am in Henlow, he's extending the land, and we're having a big kind of industrial sort of unit. And once you start going into that territory, then the cost goes up because you've got business rates. You've got where I am now, it's rent. I just pay a rent, so everything's included. Once I go into an industrial unit, then it'll be a minimum term lease. It'll be your electric. It'll be business rates, and then it kind of goes up even more. It's quite expensive now. I think compared to a few years ago, it's a lot harder to get a place cost wise.
Yeah. Now, have you got staff, or is it all you?
No, just me, and my husband helps. He's not. He doesn't train. He's just very good at. He's good at the tech and the building, and the putting the flooring down. He's like my groundskeeper.
So, members, like you said, you've got about 20 members. Are they paying a monthly fee?
Yeah, so I've got going into this place. I've opened it up to 35 members now, and then so originally people were paying when I was doing it at home. People were paying a standing order every month and having one session or two sessions, 1-to-1 PT. This way, so it's a big change for my lot. Basically, what they're doing now is they're moving on to the group PT. So instead of having one session a week with me, like they're tight 11 o'clock on a Thursday, every Thursday, what happens now is they'll pay, there's two different price tiers. The first one works out £37 a week, and then they have access to 5 of those PT sessions over the week. So cost-wise, it works out better for them, and it's a lot more flexible. So if someone, like the other day, someone had to go to the dentist, so she missed her session and has then got to wait till the next week. Whereas now, if she misses her session at 9, she can come at 11. It's kind of a lot more flexible for them, and a lot more. It's just a better way of running things, I think.
So you said you're doing about 6 classes a day, right? 6
sessions.
6 sessions. So how many people are you getting in one of those sessions?
So there's a maximum of 6.
Right.
The and the Saturday is going to be the busiest times, but during the day, between sort of 8 and midday, that's the morning sessions. There'll be the quieter sessions, and potentially between 2 and 4 people.
Okay, so it's quite intimate, if you like. It's okay.
Really, that it's not a gym where it's not an open gym. People don't just turn up. There's sessions and they'll come. So it's like PT, but there might be 2 or 3 other people there. But my plan is kind of to create this community like what we've got, just expand it a little bit. And then people that come on a Monday at 10 will be the same people. So they'll be able to make friends. And I think having that little group, that support group, just makes you better. So when they come in now, it's 1-to-1. It's quite intimate and a bit what's the word, I think when there's 3 people or 4 people and there's 2 people at a squat rack, they help each other, and having other people there kind of gives you a little bit of a push rather than when it's just you on your own.
But I guess, like, yeah, if it went the other way and you got like whatever 20 odd in a class,
they can only book it's a maximum of 6 bookings.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if it was like that,
yeah,
I imagine it would be hard to, like. I've thought about it before, like some classes, and with something like Hyrox, people are just such different levels. Sometimes it would be very hard to run a class with people at drastically different levels if there's a lot of different people in it. I would have thought.
Yeah, I think the thing, other than the difference in weights, if you're trying to do a Hyrox class, like with the sleds and stuff, trying to keep the weights. It's things like technique. There's so much technique lost in big groups. So when we do like, I do classes now, and if they're quite big, you kind of have to know what you're doing. Everyone sort of has to know what they're doing, or they get a bit left behind. Whereas this way, this is my plan now, that everyone's going to learn how to clean properly, rather than just bashing out reps like people do in a class now. This gives us more chance to teach everybody how to do everything right. And if you've got a big class of people, say you're doing Hyrox, for example, I think especially with Hyrox, there are so many different techniques for different people. You don't teach someone how to pull a sled the same as the next person and the next person. It has to be based on I've got to show you something, actually. You'll love this. This is like kind of my 12-week training plan.
This is what it's all planned out.
Yeah, so this is how we run the gym. Kind of have, this is like, you see these little E's, these are my endurance. Then from week 6, hypertrophy, then strength and speed from week 9, 10, 11. Then we have a bit of a break. And then what I do now is have this board. I wonder if you can see it. So I've broken down the elements of it is Hyrox orientated, but it can kind of be translated to anything. So you've got explosiveness, anaerobic, aerobic power, that's erg power. What's that one? Oh, compromised strength, and then just strength. And then I did 3 tests based on each one, and then I set what I thought was 100% score. And then the idea is you do all 3. So let's take this one, aerobic power. So it's a 1K row, a 1K ski, and then another disgusting workout that I made up. I set a standard for 100%, do all 3 of them, and then you get like a overall percentage here. Mm-hmm. So then what this does is this will tell me, so if I take like this person here, for example, they've scored well in their aerobic power and only 43% in that compromised strength. Do you see what I mean? So I know that this person is going to be really good on the ergs or whatever. Explosiveness, not very explosive. So let's take this person here, 52% compared to kind of 97% on the explosiveness. I know that person who is, let me just turn my thing around so I can see you. That person who is explosive is going to pull the sled different to the person who only got 52%. Do you see what I mean?
Wow.
It's good. I know.
You get detailed. I love it.
It's like my baby. But like the thing with the sled, for example, so the sled pull, you've got strength and you've got stop-start movement. And the same with the erg. So by doing these tests on people, so this is what we do at the beginning of the Hyrox course, is everybody does these tests and then we decide where you're at. And then from this test, I can tell you what level to have that rower on, how you're going to row 1,000 meters better, depending on whether you are aerobic power, whether you're aerobic, whether you're anaerobic, and you'll be better off in the doubles. You can tell from this. This is what I was saying about that. What do you call it? You know, the doubles. They said they were putting the weights up for pro on the doubles, and I was saying the problem is that the lighter weights is a different discipline. And they always make out that the pro is the hardest, open is the second hardest, and doubles is the easiest, and it isn't. When I've done doubles, I work a lot harder going, stop, start, sprint. It's got sprints in. You don't have any of that when you're doing the pro weights. But by doing these assessments on people, you can tell where their strengths will be. So some people will be better in the doubles because they're anaerobic and they're stop, start, whereas other people who are really strong and less aerobic, they'll be better in the pro. People who are light and quick, then they'll be good in the open. It doesn't mean that it's easier or harder. It just depends on that person's ability and where their strengths are. So once they've done that, they get like a little pie chart, and you can see easily what they're good at and what they're not, what they need to improve on. Because I always work on the basis of working on your strengths. So if you're a good runner, work on your running. Do you know what I mean? Get better at the running. There's no point putting 3 months of work into a sled push to gain 22 seconds.
Yeah. That's interesting. I love that. I love that detail. And
I knew you would.
If I was a member, I'd love it as well, right? Like I'd love feeling like I'm getting that sort of personalised service, if you like. Whereas like you compare it to some other trainers, they're just like making up as they go along and do what you want.
In that big class of everyone just pushing a sled, it's not, there's so much more to it than that. And I think that's what I love about Hyrox. I love it. I love that it's something for everyone, and everyone that does it will do it differently. Everyone's approach to it has to be different. You can't do Hyrox the same way that I'd done Hyrox. Literally everybody's pie chart is different to the next person's. Work on what your strengths are to do that, and that is what we can do at this gym. And now I'm actual Hyrox affiliated, I'm allowed to do it. I think it's going to be awesome.
Brilliant. And it's a way of members tracking their progress as well, like not just personalizing their training, but that you do those tests again, I assume, in whatever, say 3 months, and they can see
we do 3 tests in our gym. So we do a half Hyrox, which is literally half the distance of Hyrox for time. We do the Hyrox fitness test a month later. So we only do it every month, and then the last one is another Hyrox test that I created last year, which is disgusting, and we do those for time a month. The thing with the board is that your pie chart will generally stay the same. So if you're explosive but not very anaerobic, it will stay like that. And the fitter you get, the more explosive you'll get and the more anaerobic you'll get. But generally, percentage-wise, stay the same. Yeah, it will stay the same. So there's not really a lot of point in retesting it. We'll do it every now and then. If someone comes in and they say, I just want to do my 1K ski again, and it will push it up. But generally speaking, you only need to do that once.
Okay. All right. You just you reminded me of another question. You mentioned the PFT, right? The physical fitness test. Being a Hyrox affiliate means you can run a PFT session, doesn't it? That anyone could come along to. Am I right in thinking that?
No. I know it's confusing. So in theory, I do that as part of my training. So we'll have the test. However, I don't have they get badges, don't they, when they do it? So I don't get those. I think someone has to come along and run that, but they can only do it in a Hyrox affiliated gym. But if someone comes to me for that PFT, they don't get a badge. It's not I don't know how that works, if I'm honest.
Okay. I suspect it's not something. Yeah, it's not something that you can do at any time. But well, I can't say really. I suspect if you contacted Hyrox and said, like, on X date, let's run a PFT, people can buy tickets if they're not members and so on. I suspect that's what happens.
What I do now is like Hyrox Sim, so I can run a Hyrox Sim and just put it on the Facebook page and say charge whatever it is, whatever I want, and that's allowed. I don't think there's any kind of official sim runner. Like with the PFT, there seems to be people that do that kind of on a tour, whereas the Hyrox simulations not so much. And I think they're probably, don't know, just as valuable.
Yeah. All right. And I assume, like, we've rushed through all the finances, but I assume at the end of the day you're planning on being profitable, right?
I think the first year is going to be tough. It's still relatively new, it's still quiet, and people still get scared. People, like, I speak to people like my friends and they'll say, oh no, I couldn't join that, can't do Hyrox. And I'm there's still that sort of thing to break. I do think now is the time. It has to be now, otherwise someone else will do it. But I think for the first year it's going to be tough, and then come a year's time, I think that's when it will be a lot more profitable. I'm under no illusion that for this next year is going to be a lot of hard work and not a lot of reward.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens, doesn't it? That's what happens when you start a business. It's the same for everyone, I'm sure. You just got to take that with you, and I think I've got everything that I need to do it. We just need to keep look how big it is now. When I did London last September, there was no one there. It was lovely running round. And then literally Manchester a few months later, was massive, and then London had sold out. It was so big just in that season that I honestly, I got faith in it, and I think, you know, no one had heard of it a year ago, and when we'd done London, we won it. No one cared because no one knew what it was. Whereas now people are coming to me and asking me about it. They're talking to me about it, where they've heard about it. People have got, everyone knows someone that's doing it or has trained for it or has done a bit. So it's going to be, and year's time it'll be bigger, and then hopefully we'll go into a bigger premises and it'll be massive, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. That's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about with it from a gym perspective. Where is your gym? Do you want to send people to a website or something like that?
Yep. So it's the gym's based in Henlow in Bedfordshire, and the website is www.warriorhit.co.uk. That's got everything on there: the timetable, the prices, the location, everything's on there. As far as I.
Right, perfect. And your Instagram is
what's your Instagram? Warrior Hit Club. Warrior Hit _club.
Okay. I'll put it all in the description of the video anyway. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for this. I appreciate it.
Good to talk.